Welcome to Unit 5, Lesson 9, Multiplying Rational Numbers. First, we're going to start with the warm-up. Where was the girl? Where was she 5 seconds after this picture was taken? Mark her approximate location. 5 seconds before and after. So you're going to mark 5 seconds before and 5 seconds after. Take a moment to do that now. All right. So you could have marked for the 5 seconds after right here, and anywhere in between. And for the before, you could have done the same. So right here, and anywhere in between. We're approximating where she was, estimating where she was in the picture. Now we're going to go backwards in time. A traffic safety engineer was studying travel patterns along a highway. She set up a camera and recorded the speed and directions of cars and trucks that passed by the camera. Positions to the east of the camera are positive and to the west are negative. So going to the east is positive, going to the west is negative. Here are some positions and times for one car. So they, at -3 seconds, so they were approaching the camera, or at -3 seconds away from the camera, they were -180 feet. As they got closer, they decreased by 60 feet, decreased again, and then at 0, increased and increased. So in what direction is this car traveling? Is it going east or is it going west? That's right, it's going to the east. And what's its velocity? How fast is it going? So one way to find velocity is to look at 1 second, and we've got our speed per second. So our velocity is 60 feet per second. Nice. Let's turn the page. So respond to the following questions. What does it mean when the time is 0? What could it mean to have a negative time? So right here, what does it mean when our time is 0? So we're going to be looking at this spot right here. When our time is 0, what does that mean? Yeah, it means that we are right at the camera. The car is at the camera. And what could it mean to have a negative time? So if we go back and we look at our negative times, what does that mean? So remember, this is going east and this is west. So if we have a negative time, what side of the camera are they on? They're on the west side of the camera. Nice. They are on the west side of the camera. And number 3. Here are the positions and times for a different car whose velocity is -50 feet per second. Complete the table with the rest of the positions. All right, so it looks like we're starting here at -100 and going down to -50. Then we go to 0, so we're going to be skip counting by 50. So -1 would be +50, -2, +100, and -3, +150. What direction is this car traveling? That can be tricky. What direction do you think the car is traveling? Well, let's look at our other one. We had negative distance and negative time while going east, and positive distance and positive time going east. So if we look at this, we have a positive distance with a negative time. So what direction are they traveling? That's right, they're traveling west because the distance is changing. They are going west. All right, let's look at the bottom half of this page. Complete the table for several different cars passing the camera. Let's look at how this is set up. So we have car C, which has a velocity of 25 meters per second for 10 seconds. They ended 250 meters, and their equation is 25 times 10 equals 250. So they took this number and multiplied it by this number to get that answer. So let's look at car D. So we have negative 20 meters per second, and it goes for 30 seconds. So we're going to want to multiply that. So negative 20 times 30. Well, I know 2 times 3 is 6, and we have 2 zeros, so 600. We have a negative and a positive, and whenever we have a negative and a positive, the answer is going to be negative. So negative 600. So our ending position is negative 600 meters. Let's try car E. So we have positive 32 meters per second for negative 40 seconds. So we're going to want to do 32 times negative 40. All right, so we're going to have to do some multiplication. 32 times 40. Well, I'm just going to bring down my 0 because that's going to give me zeros. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 3 is 6. So I'm going to have 680, and again I have a negative number, so it's going to be negative 680. Negative 680. Try the next two on your own. All right, welcome back, and let's check your answers. So for car F, it would have been negative 35 times negative 20. And if we were to double 35, we would end up with 70, and there's a 0 at the end, so it would be 750, and it's 2 negatives. So 2 negatives make a positive, which means our answer is going to be positive 750. All right, now we have negative 15 times negative 8. So negative 15 times negative 8. Let's do the quick math on the side. 15, and 8. If we multiply that, 8 times 5 is 40, carry the 4. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 4 is 12, so we're going to have 120. So we'll have 120 meters. All right, so let's respond to the questions down here. If a car is traveling east when it passes the camera, will its position be positive or negative 60 seconds before it passes the camera? So it's traveling east when it passes the camera. So here's our camera, and it's on this side over here. So we have our negatives and our positives. Where is it going to be 60 seconds before it passes the camera? That's right, it's going to be in a negative distance because it's approaching the camera. If we multiply a positive number and a negative number, is the result positive or negative? So look back up here. When we multiplied a positive and a negative together, we ended up with a negative number. Wonderful. All right, let's go and look at question 6. If the car is traveling west when it passes the camera, all right, so this time it's going west. Here's the camera. Will its position be positive or negative 60 seconds before it passes the camera? That's right, it would be positive because over here we have a positive time. So positive. If we multiply two negative numbers, is the result positive or negative? Well, let's go look back at our chart. When we multiplied two negative numbers, we ended up with a positive. So the answer would be positive. All right, turn the page. Around noon, a car was traveling negative 32 meters per second down a highway. At exactly noon, when time was 0, the position of the car was 0 meters. Complete the table. All right, so at negative 32 meters down a highway. All right, so let's start with our first one, negative 10. So we have negative 32 times negative 10. I'm going to bring down the 0. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 3 is 3. We have a negative and a negative, so it's going to be a positive 320. Let's do that math now again, and we're going to do it for negative 7 seconds. Negative 7. 7 times 2 is 14. Carry the 4, or carry the 1. 7 times 3 is 21, plus 1 is 22. We have a negative and a negative, so it's going to be positive 224. Now let's look at negative 4. Four times 2 is 8. 4 times 3 is 12. It's going to be at 112 meters. Negative 1, well, 1 times anything is itself, right? So we have a negative and a negative. That's going to make a positive 32. And now we're going to multiply by 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6. And we have a negative and a positive, so our answer is negative 64. I want you to try 5, 8, and 11 on your own. Pause the video and then come back. Welcome back. Let's check your answers. All right, so now we have 5. 5 times 2 is 10, carry the 1. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 1 is 16. And it's going to be negative because we have a negative and a positive. Negative 160. Now we're going to multiply by 8. 8 times 2 is 16. Carry the 1. 8 times 3 is 24, 25. And again, it's a negative. So negative 256. And then we'll do it again for 11. So we're going to have 2, 3, 0, 2, 3. Add that. 2, 5, 3. And it's going to be a negative because it's a negative times positive, 352. Now what we're going to do is we're going to graph this. So it says to graph the relationship between time and the car's position. So we're going to put time on the bottom and the position on the y-axis. So our time is going to be on this one, on the x-axis, and our position is going to be on the y-axis. All right, so let's look. We start at -10 and positive 320. So we're going to go over to -10 and go up to 320, which is roughly right there. -7 is 224, so we're going to go over to -7, go up to approximately 224. -4 is 112. So go ahead, you can plot these points. I'm going to finish plotting them, and we'll come back in a moment. 132 to -64. Guess it's like right there. 5, -160. Eight, 256. And 11 isn't on here. Okay. So now it wants us to roughly calculate what was the position of the car at -3 seconds. So I'm going to change my color, and I'm going to just connect these dots. Now your line doesn't need to be perfect, but try to make it as straight as possible. All right, so -3 seconds. So if we look at -3 seconds, which is right here. So here's our -3. And that's going to be at roughly 100 meters. So let's erase that mark so we can look at the next one. What was the position at 6.5 seconds? So we're going to go 6.5, and we're going to approximate that one as well. And it looks like it would have been at approximately -175. So we're going to go ahead and write -175. All right, that's it for lesson 9. I'll see you next time.